The rain was merciless that night. It hit the windshield like a warning. I sat there gripping a bouquet that already looked defeated. My fingers were cold, my chest tighter than my fist around those flowers. Through her apartment window, I saw her. Clara laughing, with a man I'd never seen before. I stepped out into the rain anyway. Each drop felt like it was asking the same question I couldn't escape. Why her? Why him? Why now? I rang the bell. The laughter stopped. A moment later, the door opened. Adam, she said my name like it was a mistake. I needed to see you, I told her. We can fix this. Whatever it is, I'll change. Look me over, eyes soft but distant. That's the problem. You always change for me. You never stand your ground. I frowned. You're saying I'm too nice? She nodded slowly. Yes, you're safe, Adam. Predictable. I need someone who challenges me. Someone stronger. The words felt surgical. Clean. Precise. Cruel. Stronger. I whispered. You mean colder? She sighed. Maybe. I took a step forward. The rain dripped from my hair onto her carpet. You said you loved me. I did. Her voice cracked just once. Then she looked past me, toward the street. But love isn't enough when it's easy. I swallowed hard. Who's he? She hesitated. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. She closed the door halfway. Don't make this harder than it already is. I wanted to shout, to demand why the man who loved her was never enough. But my throat betrayed me. All I managed was a whisper. You're choosing him. I'm choosing myself. And then the door shut. I stood there, drenched, clutching a bouquet of wilted promises. The rain blurred the lights until everything looked like a memory dissolving. For a long time, I didn't move. My heart kept waiting for her to open the door again. She never did. By the time I reached my car, the flowers were falling apart in my hand. I dropped them on the curb and watched the petals drift toward the gutter. That was the night I decided something would die in me too. No more pleading. No more softness, mistaken for weakness. The world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards power. I looked up at the skyline, city lights pulsing through the rain like veins of fire. You want someone stronger? I whispered. Fine. I could feel the old me breaking apart, piece by piece. I'll become him. But not for you. The thunder rolled, swallowing my words as I climbed into the car. For me. The office smelled like metal and ambition. My laptop screen flickered, the code lines swimming in front of my tired eyes. Another night, another failure. I leaned back in my chair and muttered, Guess nice guys don't build empires after all. A voice answered from the doorway. Maybe you just haven't met the right devil yet. I turned. Darren Cole. Every headline called him the man who could turn ideas into gold or crush them into dust. His presence filled the room before his words did. You've been scraping by for a year, said, walking in like he owned the air itself. But this, he pointed at my screen, has potential. I swallowed hard. You've seen my prototype? I see everything worth buying. His tone was casual, almost bored. I'll invest. On one condition, I hesitated. What condition? You work for me. You learn from me? You let me burn the weakness out of you. My pulse thudded in my ears. And what do you get? A future weapon, he said, smiling faintly. One I can shape. I laughed under my breath. You think I'm weak? I think you're polite, he said. And polite doesn't survive in my world. Sat across from me, elbows on knees. You want revenge. I can see it in your eyes. The trick is learning to hide it until you're strong enough to use it. I looked at my reflection in the glass wall. The rain outside blurred my face, but I still recognized the hesitation in my own eyes. What if I say no? He smirked. Then you'll stay right here, drowning in dreams and pity. Silence hung between us, heavy and sharp. I closed my laptop slowly. Fine, teach me. He nodded once. Then the deal is made. I thought I'd feel victory. Instead, I felt something colder settling inside me. New suits. New haircut. New tone in my voice. I started walking into rooms like I owned them. Darren pushed me until the old me started disappearing whenever I hesitated. He'd say, "Do you want to win or do you want to feel?" The answer became easier each time. Tonight, I stood in front of his office mirror, tying my new tie, watching my reflection tighten into something unfamiliar. The nice guy wasn't gone yet, but he was dying. Darren clapped a hand on my shoulder. "You're ready for your first board meeting. My assistant will brief you." "Assistant?" I asked. He smirked. "She's good, loyal, doesn't mix emotion with work." As the door opened, I turned. For a second, my breath caught. Clara. Her eyes widened the same way mine did. The room froze. The last time she saw me, I was begging her to stay. Now she was walking toward me, holding a file, her voice calm. "Mr. Reeves, welcome aboard." I smiled slowly, masking the chaos inside me. "Thank you, Miss Hayes." Her hand trembled slightly when I took the folder. She noticed that I noticed. Darren looked between us. Unaware of the storm he'd just invited into his empire, I met Clara's eyes again and said quietly, "Guess we both made deals with the devil." This asterisk, the air in Darren's office was colder than usual. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was her. Clara sat across the table, flipping through the presentation I'd built overnight. She didn't look up until I spoke. Page 6. That's the projected merger cost. Her eyes met mine, sharp, curious, searching. "You've changed," she said quietly. I didn't flinch. "We're not here to talk about that." Her mouth parted slightly. "So we can't even acknowledge it?" "We'll speak when it's about work," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. It was colder, more deliberate. Darren glanced between us, amused. "Good. Finally someone in this office who understands control." He pushed his chair back. "Adam, you'll lead the Harper deal. Clara, assist him." Her hand froze around her pen. "Assist him?" Darren chuckled. "Unless that's a problem?" She forced a smile. "Not at all." When Darren left, silence filled the room. I could hear her breathing. "You really are his favorite now," she said softly. "The new Adam Reeves, confident, ruthless, just what the world wants." I gathered my papers. "It's what it rewards." "Do you even believe that?" I looked at her. For a second, the old ache flickered somewhere in my chest. Then I buried it. "Belief doesn't matter. Results do." Her eyes lingered on my face, tracing the edges of the man she used to know. "You're colder," she whispered. "Maybe you were right," I said. "Kindness never got me anywhere." She stepped closer. I could smell her perfume, the same one from the night she left me. It made the room feel smaller. "I didn't leave because you were kind," she said. "I left because I thought you'd never change." I met her gaze. "And now that I have?" She hesitated. "Now I don't recognize you." I smiled slightly. "Good, I ran the presentation with precision. Every slide, every number exact." Clara sat beside me, silent, watching. I could feel her gaze when I spoke. The others saw confidence. She saw the ghost of who I used to be. When the deal closed, Darren clapped me on the shoulder. "You're a machine, Reeves. Keep it up." He left. Clara lingered. "You didn't smile once," she said. "Machines don't need to." She shook her head, whispering to herself, "What happened to you?" I walked past her toward the elevator. He grew up. The city lights reflected off the glass walls, painting gold streaks on the floor. I was packing up when I heard the door click shut. "Working late too?" I asked. Clara leaned against the door, arms crossed. Her voice was low. "You act like you don't care, but I know you. Not anymore." She walked closer until I could see her reflection beside mine in the glass. "You've changed," she whispered. "But not enough to forget me, right?" Her words cut through the quiet like glass breaking. I turned to face her. The distance between us felt dangerous. I wanted to say something sharp, something final, but I couldn't. My voice failed. She smiled faintly, reading my silence. "Thought so." The office was quieter than usual, but the tension wasn't. Clara's perfume reached me before her voice did. She leaned over my desk, pointing at the contract. You missed a clause. I didn't, I said, keeping my eyes on the paper. She smiled faintly. You're still stubborn. I met her gaze. And you're still distracting. Her smile faltered for half a second. Then she straightened up, smooth and composed. Don't flatter yourself. I wasn't, I said. It was an observation. Her eyes narrowed, reading too deep into my tone. She walked away slowly, her hand brushing the back of my chair. I didn't look up, but my pulse betrayed me. Later that week at the company mixer, she was everywhere I turned, laughing too easily, touching my shoulder when she passed. She wanted a reaction. I gave her nothing. Until I saw Isabel standing by the bar, looking nervous in a pale dress. I walked up to her. You're new, I said. Enjoying the chaos? She laughed softly. Trying to. You're Adam Reeves, right? The man everyone says never smiles. Only when it's worth it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Clara watching us. Her jaw tightened. So I leaned in closer to Isabel, pretending to listen to her joke. Her laughter filled the space between us, light and innocent. Clara approached a moment later. Adam, could I borrow you for a minute? I turned to her. We can talk after the event. Her lips curved. It's important. I faced Isabel. Excuse me? Clara led me to the balcony, the city glowing below us. What are you doing? She demanded. Networking, I said. With interns. I tilted my head. You seem jealous. Her voice dropped. You don't get to say that. I stepped closer. Then stop acting like it. The air between us burned. She looked up at me, eyes softening. Why are you like this now? Because you made me this way? She inhaled sharply. But before she could answer, Darren's voice echoed from inside, calling for everyone's attention. Hours later, at the charity gala, she avoided me. I tried not to care, but when the band started playing a slow song, she walked straight toward me. Dance with me, she said quietly. That's not professional, I replied. She held out her hand. Neither is revenge. I took it. The crowd disappeared as we moved. Her hand fit perfectly in mine. Every step felt dangerous. Her eyes lifted to mine. You can pretend all you want, Adam, but I know you still feel it. Yeah. I don't. I lied. Her fingers pressed against my chest. Then why does your heart sound like it's racing? I caught her wrist gently. You shouldn't test me, she smiled, a mix of pain and defiance. You started the game. We stopped moving, standing too close under the chandelier's light. I could feel her breath against my neck, warm and steady. For one reckless moment, I almost forgot who I'd become. Then everything froze. I looked over Clara's shoulder. Darren stood across the room, glass in hand, eyes locked on us, his face unreadable. Her hand slipped from mine. My heart did the same. The city outside my window was quiet, but my mind wasn't. I was reviewing the acquisition files when the door opened behind me. I didn't need to turn around. I knew the sound of her heels by heart. Working late again, Clara said softly. Some of us don't sleep well, I replied. She hesitated before walking closer. You never used to talk like that. Never used to have a reason to. Silence stretched between us, heavy and electric. I finally looked up. She stood in the dim light, arms crossed, eyes tired. I owe you an explanation, she said. I leaned back. For what? For walking away. I said nothing. She drew a breath. I didn't leave because you were too nice. I left because I was scared. You had dreams, not guarantees. I wanted security, not struggle. Her voice cracked at the last word. I kept my expression still. You wanted someone who could give you everything right away? She nodded slowly. I thought I'd be happier. But every time I see you now, it hurts. Good, I said. Pain has a way of teaching lessons. Her eyes widened. That's cruel. You taught me cruelty, I said quietly. You showed me the price of being soft. Now you'll pay yours. She took a step back. Adam, I didn't come here to fight. Then why are you here? Her voice broke again. Because I missed the man you were. I smiled without warmth. He's gone. She blinked fast, trying to hide the tears. You've changed too much. I picked up the file from my desk. Change was the only thing that saved me. The intercom buzzed. Darren's voice filled the room. "Reeves, come to my office. I have something big for you." Clara turned to leave, but I stopped her. "Whatever game you think you're playing, Clara, it won't end well for you." She looked at me for a long moment. Maybe I deserve that. Then she left. He was smiling when I walked in. "You've proven yourself. I'm giving you full control of the North Point acquisition." North Point. Big deal. They're linked to the Hayes Corporation. You'll be taking them apart piece by piece. Hayes. Her last name still burned like a scar. "When do we start?" I asked immediately. He said, "Crush them." I nodded once. "Consider it done." He leaned back, lighting a cigar. "You're cold, Reeves." I like that. On my way out, I saw Clara standing near the elevators, speaking quietly with someone. She looked tense, almost guilty. The man she was with turned and my stomach twisted. It was Darren's son. He placed a hand on her back, gentle and familiar. She didn't pull away. When she saw me, her face drained of color. I stepped closer, my voice calm but cutting. "Interesting company you keep." Her lips parted. "Adam, it's not what it looks like." "Then what is it?" Her silence told me everything. I looked at Darren's son, who smiled like he'd already won. I felt the old fire rise again, so this was it. The perfect storm. She had left me for safety, and now safety wore Darren's name. I turned away before my anger showed. "Tell your fiancé I'll see him in the boardroom." Behind me, she gasped, "You know?" I didn't look back. I always do. The boardroom felt like ice. Every eye was on me. Every voice silent. I stood at the head of the table, flipping through the reports. "North Point stock will drop by morning," I said. "That's when we move in." No hesitation. No warmth. Darren watched me with a faint smile. "You're colder than I ever was." "Cold gets results," I replied. He chuckled. "Just don't forget who taught you that." I met his gaze. "I haven't." The room buzzed with quiet approval as we finalized the deal. My name had become a weapon in this world. Reporters called me the Cold King. They said I never smiled, never hesitated, never forgave. They were right. After the meeting, Clara waited outside my office. Her hands trembled around a folder. "Adam, we need to talk. I'm busy. Please." Her voice cracked just enough to make me pause. She stepped closer. "You're destroying people, not companies. Darren's son, his team, their families. This isn't who you are." I leaned against my desk, arms folded. "You wanted a man who could protect himself. You wanted strength. Now you'll see what strength costs." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I made a mistake. But this version of you scares me." "Good," I said quietly. "Fear keeps people honest." Her eyes searched mine, desperate. "Do you even feel anything anymore?" I held her stare. "Not for you." The silence between us was sharp enough to cut skin. She turned to leave, but I stopped her. "You should stay out of my way, Clara. You won't like what comes next." Her lips trembled. "I already don't." She walked out, shoulders tense. Perfume lingering like a ghost I couldn't kill. Later that week, the board gathered again. Darren entered late, looking pale. He sat down slowly, one hand pressed against his chest. "All right," he said hoarsely. "Let's discuss the merger." As he spoke, I caught the tremor in his hand, the way his words began to slur. "Darren," I said, "you don't look well." He waved me off. "Don't mix pity with business." Seconds later, his voice cut off. He grabbed the edge of the table, gasping. The room exploded into motion. "Call an ambulance." Someone shouted. I caught him before he hit the floor. His breath came shallow and ragged. He gripped my wrist with surprising strength. "Don't ruin yourself," he rasped. "Power is a fire, Adam. It doesn't care who burns." Then his eyes rolled back when the medics took him away. The board turned to me. "Until Mr. Cole recovers," one of them said. "Someone needs to lead." I straightened my tie. Then I'll do it. No one objected. No one dared. By evening, headlines were already spreading. Adam Reeves named acting CEO of Coal Dynamics. I stared at my reflection in the glass wall. The city lights flickered across my face. My eyes looked unfamiliar, sharp, unreadable. Clara appeared behind me, her voice trembling. "You really did it." "Told you," I said. "I'd stop at nothing." Her whisper cut through the silence. "Then what's left of the man I loved?" I turned to her, smiling faintly. "He died the day you left." Her tears caught the light as I walked past her into the boardroom that now belonged to me. The door closed, sealing whatever part of me she once knew. Asterisk, the city never sleeps. Neither do I. It was close to midnight when the last intern left, and the office lights dimmed to gold and shadow. I stood by the window, the skyline reflected in the glass like a crown I had finally earned. Every decision, every scar, had built this empire around me. Then I heard it. The quiet click of heels, Adam. Her voice. I turned slowly. Clara stood in the doorway, her hair loose, eyes red. She wore the same perfume from the night she left me. It hit me harder than I expected. "You shouldn't be here," I said. I broke off the engagement. Her voice trembled. "It's over." I didn't move. "Congratulations." She took a few steps closer. "Don't do that. Don't act like you don't care." I laughed under my breath. "You cared about power. You cared about image. Now that I have both, you suddenly care about me?" She flinched. "I made mistakes. I thought strength meant money and confidence. But you became everything I thought I wanted, and it hurts to look at you." I walked toward her, slow and deliberate. "Why?" "Because I don't need you anymore." Her breath caught. "Because I still love you." For a second I froze. Her words echoed in the empty office. I looked at her, really looked. The same woman who once shattered me now stood trembling in front of the man she created. "You love me," I said quietly. "But you don't get to love me when it's convenient?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Adam, I never stopped thinking about you. You thought about me when you needed safety. When your life fell apart." I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "Where were you when I was learning to stand again?" She reached out, fingers brushing mine. "Please, just tell me there's still a part of you that remembers us." My heart thudded hard against my ribs. I wanted to pull her close, to forget everything, but I couldn't. I stepped back. "I remember. And that's exactly why I can't go back." Her lips parted, her voice breaking. "You've changed so much." "I became the man you wanted," I said. "And now you're standing in front of him, realizing that man doesn't need you." The silence hung thick, heavy with everything we never said. She wiped her eyes and whispered, "I deserve that." Then she turned to leave. The door clicked shut. I sank into my chair, staring at the faint imprint of her hand on my desk. My chest burned, not with victory, but with something emptier. Behind me, I heard movement, a quiet gasp. I turned. But the hallway was already empty. A faint reflection in the glass caught my eye. Spell's silhouette disappearing around the corner. My stomach tightened. She had heard. I reached for my phone, but it buzzed before I could touch it. An anonymous email flashed across the screen. Subject, the CEO and his affair. 2. Board of Directors. I felt the blood drain from my face. My jaw clenched. Isabel. The city lights outside flickered against the glass, and for the first time in months I felt the ground shift beneath me. The boardroom was silent, but the silence wasn't peace. It was judgment. Dozens of eyes watched me as the chairman slid a printed email across the table. The CEO and his affair? My name burned on every line. Clara's name too. Care to explain this, Mr. Reeves? One director asked. I kept my expression still. Someone's trying to destroy me. Darren's voice cut through the tension. Then find out who. I met his eyes. He looked thinner, older, but the disappointment there hit harder than anything else. Sir, I began. You know, I don't know anything right now, he snapped. You were supposed to lead this company, not drag it into scandal. I could feel my pulse in my throat. It's not what it looks like. Clara stood at the end of the table, hands trembling. It's my fault. I came to him first. He didn't enough, Darren barked. You don't speak for him. Before I could defend her, Isabel stepped forward from the corner, voice smooth and cold. He's lying. Clara used him. She wanted control. I warned you about her. My head snapped toward her. What are you doing? Her gaze met mine, unreadable. Protecting the company. Lies rolled off her tongue like silk. She told me herself, Isabel said, facing the board. She planned to use Adam to gain influence after Darren stepped down. I heard everything. That's not true, Clara cried. But I could see doubt already spreading across the room like smoke. Darren slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Both of you. Out. Outside, I caught Isabel's arm. Why? Her voice dropped to a whisper. You think you're the only one he favored? The only one he built? What are you talking about? She smiled, bitter and broken. Darren Cole, my father. I froze. That's not possible. Oh, it's possible. She stepped closer. He abandoned my mother. Pretended I didn't exist. Watched me struggle while you and everyone else got his praise. So you leaked it, I said slowly. She didn't deny it. He needed to feel the same shame he gave us. You were just collateral damage. I stared at her, my jaw tightening. You ruined everything to get back at him, she whispered. I set things right. Wanted to shout, to grab her, to demand why she dragged me into her war. But before I could speak, Darren's voice called from down the hall. Adam, my office. Now, Inside, he looked pale again, sweat glistening at his temples. You knew, didn't you? He said quietly. You knew about Isabel? I shook my head. I just found out. He leaned against the desk, breathing hard. This company can't survive another scandal. If I fall, you take the blame. His words hit like a slap. I built this place for you, I said. I killed the man I used to be for this. He looked up at me, eyes hollow. Then you'll die with it too. Before I could answer, he clutched his chest. Darren. He staggered, gasping for air. I reached for him, but he collapsed before I could catch him. By the time the medics arrived, he was gone. The board gathered again that night. Clara's voice trembled as she asked what happened. No one looked at her. No one looked at me. I heard the whispers before they reached my ears clearly. He was with him when it happened. It's too convenient. Maybe it wasn't natural. As the sirens faded outside, I stood in the middle of the office that no longer felt mine, and for the first time in years, I felt powerless again. The sirens were louder than my thoughts. Police lights flashed across the glass walls of my office. I was cuffed, sitting in a chair I had built my empire in. And now it felt like a cell. Mr. Reeves, you understand you're being questioned in relation to Darren Cole's death? I met the officer's gaze evenly. I didn't kill him. He leaned closer. Then why did the board accuse you of tampering with his medicine? I clenched my fists, nails biting into my palms. Everyone had turned against me. My team, my board, even Isabel's whispers had poisoned their minds. Then I felt her presence. Adam, Clara said softly, sliding into the chair across from me. Her hand brushed mine. Her warmth cut through the cold of the room. You shouldn't be here, I said, but I didn't pull away. I'm not leaving you, she whispered. Not now. Not ever. Her eyes held mine. In them, I saw the woman I had loved, the one who had left me, and the one who had just risked everything to stand here. I realized in that moment that no matter how much power I had gained, no matter how cold I had become, I still loved her. Her voice broke through my thoughts. We can prove it. Isabel planned this. She poisoned him and made it look like you did it. I swallowed hard. She used me? She used all of us, Clara said. But we can fight back. Together. We moved fast, tracing Isabel's steps, uncovering emails, security footage, even the prescription logs. Every lie she had spun unraveled before us. Clara risked herself, stepping in front of the board during a tense meeting. You've been lied to, she said, voice steady but trembling. Adam is innocent. Isabel plotted Darren's death. She even poisoned his medicine to frame him. The room erupted. Gasps, questions, disbelief. I watched Clara stand there, her chest heaving, face pale but resolute. Every board member's eyes shifted from me to her. Her career, her reputation, everything was on the line. But she didn't care. She cared about the truth about me. By the end of the day, the truth was out. Isabel's resignation was forced. Investigations began. The board whispered apologies, but nothing could erase the chaos. Clara avoided my gaze afterward. She knew what she had lost. Later, I found her packing her small apartment. Rain dripping through the cracked window. "Clara," I said quietly. She didn't turn. "Now that I finally became what you wanted, will you stay?" Her hands froze over a box. "Adam," I stepped closer, letting the rain soak my jacket. Cold on my skin, but nothing compared to the emptiness I felt inside. "I've loved you all this time," I said, "even when I hated myself. Even when you left. Even when I became someone else to get revenge." She finally looked at me. Her eyes glistened, not just with tears, but with everything we had lost. "I can't stay," she whispered. "I have nothing left here, except the truth." Her voice cracked, and she went back to packing. I watched her, feeling both pride and despair. She saved me, and in doing so, she destroyed herself. The rain tapped against the window like a clock counting down, reminding me that some victories come with unbearable cost. And I had never felt the weight of being both king and powerless until this moment. The train station smelled of rain and diesel. Clara stood on the platform, coat wrapped tight around her, eyes fixed on the rails ahead. The soft hum of the engines mirrored the ache in my chest. "Adam," she said quietly, "I didn't move at first. I just watched her." Every step she took toward the train felt like a reminder of everything I had built and everything I had lost. "You're really leaving?" I said, voice low, almost hollow. She nodded, lips trembling. "I have to. I need to start over." "On my own?" I swallowed. "I wanted to protect you. I thought power would make everything right." "You protected me," she whispered. "By telling the truth, even if it hurt." The train's whistle blew. She hesitated, glancing at me one last time. I stepped closer, hand hovering over hers, but I didn't reach. "I'll miss you." Her fingers brushed mine. That fleeting contact burned hotter than any boardroom, any deal. "I'll miss you too." She boarded the train. The doors closed, rain streaking the glass. My chest felt empty, despite the empire I controlled. I realized then that power without peace was meaningless. Months passed. I stepped down as CEO, founded a charity fund under Darren's name, worked quietly, building something that mattered beyond revenge or title. And one morning, I found myself in a small town, standing outside a little art studio. Light spilled through the windows, colors dancing on the walls. I could hear her humming as she painted. I opened the door at him. She turned, paint on her fingers, eyes widening. Tears welled up as she took a small step toward me. "I wanted to see you," I said softly. "I wanted to tell you. Maybe being kind wasn't weakness after all." Her lips trembled into a smile. "It never was," she said, voice barely a whisper. I stepped closer. She didn't pull away. The studio smelled of oil paints and rain from the open window. Our hands found each other, fingers intertwining. No titles, no games, no revenge. Just two people who had survived too much. A soft rain began to fall outside, tapping against the glass. We stood together, letting it soak us through the open door. I felt her head rest briefly against my shoulder. I breathed in the scent of her hair, paint, and warmth. "You came back," she said quietly. "I came back for this," I said, tightening my grip on her hand. "For us?" She smiled through tears, laughter, and relief mingling. "Then let's not waste any more time." The rain fell harder. But it felt like a blessing, washing away the past, the pain, the games. For the first time in years, I felt whole. And as we walked out into the soft storm together, Hand in hand, I realized that kindness, patience, and love had never been weakness. They had been the only thing worth building. Her glance met mine, full of trust, forgiveness, and something stronger than words. I squeezed her hand. "I'm home," she smiled. "And I'm here." The rain soaked us and we didn't care.